disruptive.
America that I fought for.
Weird thing to happen. So Mark Carney's daughter. This is from the National Post. Mark Carney's daughter could be among international students caught in Harvard Trump fight. Another high-profile student may be impacted is Princess Elizabeth, heir to the Belgian throne. Here's what you need to know. A U.S. judge has provided Harvard University a temporary reprieve from the Trump administration's move to block enrollment of foreign students, including Canadians. In a lawsuit filed early Friday in federal court in Boston, Harvard said the government's action violates the First Amendment, the Association Press reports, and will have an immediate and devastating effect on more than 7,000 international visa holders. A temporary restraining order was granted by the court on Friday. However, if the government's action eventually stands, Harvard says it will be unable to offer admission to new international students for at least 2 academic years. Harvard enrolls almost 600 foreign students. Most are graduate students that come from more than 100 countries. The Trump administration's actions compels existing foreign students, including those already enrolled, to transfer to other institutions or face losing their legal status in the United States, Reuters reports. The threat to Harvard's international enrollment is part of an ongoing battle between the Trump administration and Harvard that stems from an April 16th request from Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. She demanded Harvard provide information about foreign students that could potentially implicate them in protests and lead to their deportation. The 21st century Reich is thriving with pride. We want you to snitch on our students in case, they exercise their free speech, especially speech that involves ending a war. Yeah, we can't allow that for Detention Barbie over here. She likes to murder dogs, so that's the kind of personality you get from someone like her. Hundreds of Canadians could potentially be caught up in the battle. The school has not provided its current Canadian student enrollment, but numbers on its website from 2022 showed that there were 686 enrolled at the time, reports the Canadian press. Cleo Carney, daughter of Prime Minister Mark Carney, has just finished her first year at Harvard. She is an undergraduate in the Resource Efficiency program and focuses her academic energy on sustainability. I guess like father, like daughter, gonna be riding that train right to the WEF. I bet you she's gonna be part of the Young Global Leaders Summit. Sustainability thing. She caught the world's attention when she introduced her father in March as the new Liberal Party leader. She has followed her parents as a student of their intersection of finance and climate policy when not studying at Harvard as her father did before. She serves on the board of the Blue Dot Initiative, a climate-focused nonprofit. How her studies will proceed remains open question. So even a wannabe globalist tyrant like this daughter here, who is working in a climate-focused nonprofit, and I don't think it's planting trees, especially at a place like Harvard, which I thought I would never, ever side on Harvard. It's a ritzy school. It's, a lot of snobs, a lot of elitists, not all of them, but there's a fair amount of them. There are people that get scholarships to Harvard that are actually exceptional people in the world, but a lot of Harvard, just like Columbia, just like Stanford, just like a lot of these institutions, as they say, garbage in, garbage out. When they go in as elite snobs, they are going to be elite snobs and fit for the elite roles within the cogs within the oligarchy. But Cleo Carney has envisioned herself. But even for someone like her, being a threat to the Trump administration that she can't even attend Harvard. That says a lot. That says a lot. Another high-profile student who may be impacted is Princess Elizabeth, heir to the Belgian throne. She has just completed her first year in 2-year master's program in public policy at the Harvard Kennedy School. She is currently in Belgium for the summer. The Royal Palace has stated that she is awaiting her clarification about whether she will be allowed to return for her second year. She may be forced to transfer to another university outside the United States. This could interrupt her planned academic trajectory and delay or alter her graduate studies in public policy, which are considered part of her preparation for future royal duties. So you have Cleo Carney that is subjugated to not attend Harvard because of this back and forth with the Trump administration acting, very fascistic in a way. That's where I'm going with. And now an heir to the Belgian kingdom. So you're pissing off people at high places. And like I said, I don't want to defend Harvard in their actions. I don't want to defend Harvard as a school because it's really just a ritzy, snob, arrogant piece of hellhole that it is. But I'm on the side of Harvard on this because the whole point of colleges, the whole point of having international students, having the mixture of all these different people is to have an open experience, to go to college, to learn about new cultures, to learn new experiences. What happened to the days of Ben Shapiro when he would go to preach at a college campus and tell people that they don't have safe spaces? The whole point of college is for you to grow up. The whole point of you going to school is to learn new things, to open experiences. You can't be trapped in a safe space. Well, here, it turns out the Trump administration, the federal administration in America, wants to dictate over universities to become safe spaces. For who? Zionists. People that are on the side of genocide and mass murder. We have to protect them because they're a special class as compared to the frickin' Princess of Belgium and the Prime Minister's daughter. It's just kind of also hilarious that the Prime Minister's daughter is going to Harvard after her father made a notorious speech about, ending the relationship with Trump and America and how we need to invest in Canada. I'm surprised she didn't go with McGill. I'm surprised she's not a McMaster student. Interesting. Harvard has filed a lawsuit against the Trump administration, arguing that the revocation of its ability to enroll international students is unconstitutional and will have an immediate and devastating effect on the university and more than 7,000 visa holders. The university frames the government's move as part of a broader pattern of retaliation against Harvard for resisting federal demands related to campus activism, diversity initiative, and governance. Harvard argues that its overreach threatens the independence and constitutional rights of all private universities. I agree. Again, I don't want to defend Harvard in this, but Harvard needs this defense. Because a school is a school. A school is not there to be dictated by the federal government. That's what totalitarianism does. That's what you expect in North Korea. That's what you expect the old Soviet Union to act in this way. But Trump's doing this to dictate over private institutions in the needs of Israel. Not even America, but for the needs of Israel. To protect the Zionists. The butthurt warmongers that just want a simple genocide. They just want to wipe out a population, and then they have to walk by a bunch of people holding poster paper. Ugh. When are we ever going to defend them? When are they ever going to be heard and felt like people? the crybabies that complain about constitutional rights. Because ironically, Israel has no constitution. Harvard has publicly condemned the Trump administration's action as unlawful and has stated it is working swiftly to provide guidance and support to our community members. Its legal action is intended to protect the rights of current and prospective international students and restore the university's ability to sponsor student visas. That's what they claim. Harvard has defended its contributions of its international students and scholars, highlighting the irreplaceable role they play in the university's academic and research mission. Harvard's administration has mobilized its international student offices and legal counsel to provide affected students with the up-to-date information, individualized advising, and support as they navigate their options. The university is also coordinating with peer institutions and advocacy groups to push for policy reversals or accommodations. Meanwhile, Harvard is preparing contingency plans to minimize educational disruption for international students, including remote learning or alternative arrangements for students who are unable to remain in the United States, and facilitating connections with partner institutions globally for students who may need to continue their studies elsewhere. So it sounds like, as Trump is doubling down these actions, Harvard's just saying, nah, we'll just do it remotely. We're still going to teach these people, assholes. That's what Harvard's saying. We're still going to teach them. They pay their tuition. We're still going to teach them. We're still giving them an education. You can't shut that down. So they're saying, hey, we can do remote learning. They can accommodate in different ways. They can, do connections with other universities so that they can get the same quality education. Again, as much as I don't want to agree with Harvard because of what a snobby school it is, I definitely agree with them on this. I definitely defend them on this. That even though it's a snobby school, the fake wokeism, the DEI initiatives that are absolutely horrendous, that are very hypercritical. Again, regardless of that, Harvard is still a private school. Harvard is still an institution where they're allowed to have free speech, where students are allowed to have free speech. Why? Because it's part of the Constitution. And it doesn't matter what you feel about that person, what their speech is, or where they came from. The whole principle, the principle of constitutional rights is that it is ideal for anybody that steps foot in America, regardless if you're a tourist, if you're a student, if you're an international visa carrier, if you're a permanent resident. You cannot be barred from your free speech. That is the principle. If you cannot stand with the principle of constitutional rights, then you're anti-American. You are anti-American. You are against the whole ideas of what America represents. And maybe you should be thinking of yourself to get yourself out of there. Instead of attacking other people and telling them that they can't have constitutional rights, they can't have free speech, maybe you should consider leaving. You ever thought of that? Remember the days when Trump told the squad, "Hey, if you don't like it, you can leave." You should consider telling the butthurt Zionists, well, if you don't like what students are protesting and being concerned about a genocide and an open slaughter of innocent civilians, then by all means, goodbye. By all means, go enjoy life somewhere else. Go back to Israel. Go back to your promised land. That works. So this leads into this. I thought this is kind of funny. So Middle East Eye, they just did a graduation, because right now we're at the end of May, so we're getting to the graduation season. Middle East Eye says, while delivering a speech at the graduation ceremony of Columbia University and Barnard College, acting president Claire Shipman was repeatedly interrupted by boos and jeers from students upset with her crackdown on free speech and pro-Palestine activism at the university. So things are not all up and up at this graduation, especially knowing that the administration is very, very, very masked off, understandably, against the students and against the people that actually pay the tuition to be at Columbia and Barnard College, and siding with the administration that's decimating constitutional rights. So here's how this went down.
Claire Shipman.
Thank you.
What do I do now?
Good morning, class of 2025. I know that many of you feel
Maybe they just want to inform her what color the background is. I get it. It's blue. It's a blue backdrop. Yeah, blue. Oh, those moments when you're on stage and you know you screwed up and you know how bad and awful you are and you don't know what to do because you're paid to be there. You're supposed to give the commencement speech and the entire student populace is booing at her. Like, what do? You just stand there and just look awkwardly still.
Good morning, class of 2025. I know that many of you feel some amount of frustration with me, and I know you feel it with the administration.
What anger towards the administration? Again, they just wanted to know that the background's blue. I'm just waiting for the op-ed where this woman is gonna like complain to the New York Times or the Washington Post or one of the elite newspapers and write an op-ed about how she was tormented, how she felt like she was tortured and threatened at a graduation ceremony because students booed at her. And I'm sure someone like her is going to twist the language to say, "Oh, I thought I heard the word Jew in the crowd." So it's anti-Semitic. It's devastating. I can't believe these young kids today. They have no respect for their elders. Coming from the campus president who has no respect for the people paying for the education that is boosting Columbia and Barnard College.
And I know we have a strong, strong tradition of free speech at this university. And I am always open to feedback, which I am getting right now. The work of your generation will be to shape these
Well, at least she's good with the zingers. We believe in free speech. We want to hear feedback from the students. Really. So I'm assuming when you dragged off Mahmoud Khalil or get a bunch of, NGO gangs gathering together to crack the heads of protesters, get the cops involved to break into the school. That was for what? To drag them to your office to put a comment card in? Well, always leave them laughing. Always leave them laughing.
Interesting times to define the values.
He has no idea what to do.
The work of your generation will be to define and shape these interesting times, to define the values and the direction.
That's going to be a scary thought to her. Oh my God, these kids are going to go into the workplace and define the generation. Oh, it's like what Tim Pool said, that at some point in the near future, the whole Zionist narrative is going to collapse. Like, younger people are wide awake to this. I'm wide awake to this. Everybody's wide awake to this. It doesn't take rocket science to figure out that Zionism, the creation of Israel, the whole October 7th, Netanyahu, everything is all manufactured. It's all a charade to advance this hellish warfare against the lives of Palestinians, to manufacture this crisis between the Jewish population and Arab population, even though the Jewish population have nothing to do with Zionism. Zionism is a cult creation by politics, by the political design, by the aristocracies, to plague upon the Jewish people, to get the Jewish people along to this heinous cult, so that they manufacture this crisis to go after the Arab population, even though the Arabs and the Jewish people all lived in harmony whatsoever, and they're all Semites. So they're creating anti-Semitism to pretend to fight anti-Semitism, which is exactly the whole reason this is existing. It's like how we need to create terrorism to have wars on terror. They need to create anti-Semitism so they can lock away people, so they can fear bait people to think that there's anti-Semitism on the rise. And then use that as an excuse to manufacture mass murder across all bounds. Because it's not just Gaza. It's not just Palestine. Look at what they did to Lebanon. Look at what they're trying to do to Yemen. Look at what they're trying to do with Iran. Look at what they look at what they did to Syria. It's never going to end with them. They want total domination because they're a supremacist group. And when I say they, I mean the Zionists, not Jewish people, because I know Jewish people, and Jewish people that I know are not for this. Judaism is totally separate from Zionism. But they baited you from birth because that cult, that heinous cult, derived from the creation of Israel, from Netanyahu, and derived from Rothschild, and going as far back as 1940s Germany. They needed that conflation so they could suck in more people, so that anyone that accuses a Zionist of wrongdoing, they can reflate that to Judaism and that you're attacking Jewish people, which is the exact opposite. Did you know that there's more Christian Zionists out there than Jewish? So it has nothing to do with Judaism whatsoever. And that is going to be a glaring statement to know that future kids are not going to be towing this lie any longer, that they're losing this battle. And just like we heard from Palantir, the head of Palantir, saying that if we lose the battle of control of the narrative on college campuses as younger generations are going to the workforce, there goes our chances to launch a new war. There goes our chances to ever launch a war in the West ever again. So that's going to be devastating. That's definitely a hit to the gut for the Zionist crowd, that future generations are going to go into the workforce more than ever, not convinced, not being soaked into the propaganda. So she went back again. So after that disastrous speech at Columbia University, she went back for another speech. So it says, one day after being booed, Columbia President Claire Shipman at University Grad says international students shouldn't be targeted by government for free speech. Oh! Interesting. What a complete 180 turn that was. Now that you took some time to realize, maybe had some soul searching. That didn't seem like you said that before. You were trying to lie and manufacture gaslighting to people that, Columbia University is a free expression place, and we idealized with free speech. Now they do a complete 180. And she actually even mentions Mahmoud Khalil in her speech. So listen to this.
And let me also say that we firmly believe that our international students have the same rights to freedom of speech as everyone else, and they should not be targeted by the government for exercising that right. And let me also say,
and the students are still booing her. The students are still booing her because they know that that's a lie. They know that's a complete lie. That the Harvard administration, Columbia University administration has been lying to them. Has been lying to them throughout this process. That even though they pretend to be this, diverse area where they accept new cultures and they want people to incorporate into our loving policy at Columbia University, it's an institution filled with elitists, filled with a bunch of Zionists at the top that want to decimate control on the population to manufacture newcomers into this elitist pool. That's all I said. I'm not a fan of any of these institutions. I'm not a fan of Columbia University. I'm not a fan of Harvard. I'm not a fan of any of these high elite schools because a lot of them are just filled with a bunch of rich snobs that are going to grow up, work for the oligarchy, and just don't give a damn about the world. Really don't give a damn about the world. There are a few people that get scholarships that come from lower middle class that actually are deserving of this education. But there's a fair amount of them that are Nepo babies that just have no idea. They're so self-involved that they have no aware of any existence around them. But when you see more of this, when you see the dragging off of students, when you see people beaten down and being jailed for an op-ed, I have nothing but defense for these Ivy League institutions. Because free speech is that important. That regardless of how you feel about institutions, regardless of how you feel about anybody, free speech is the most important principle you have as a person. And if you don't have free speech, you don't have society. You don't have humanity. Think of all the greatest inventions. Think of technology. Think of where we are right now in human history. And look back at all the times that they tried to censor out information from the general public. And think about if that flourished society, if that made it better for people, or if it made it worse. And chances are it made it worse. Because nowhere in human history does censoring out the general public and having domination over information and control over the narrative is going to make society better. It never happens in human history, which is why the First Amendment is the First Amendment. Why free speech is so important. But it's amazing that she did a quick 180 thinking that, oh, the students are going to like me now. And they still boo her. They still boo her. So, this woman hiding more says Claire Shipman was once the Columbia trustees who sold Mumo Khalil, over to ICE. Remember, she's also wearing doctoral robes, even though she never studied for or earned a doctorate. Her crocodile tears absurd. She's a fraud all the way through. You don't need a PhD or a rocket science degree to figure that out. Just from the 180 back and forth of those two clips there, already says enough about Claire Shipman. But this also brings a bit of detail about who this woman is and why she's such the fraudster that she is. Because according to Senator Chris Coons, he says it's great to appear on the APEC 2018 policy conference main stage with Claire Shipman. So she was an interviewer for the APEC lobby. Now you see how it's all interconnected. Now you see how it's all interconnected. If only the Arabs that owned Hollywood could see this. That's why Michael Rappaport can't get jobs, because all the Arabs, all the Muslims that control Hollywood right now. Conference stage, main stage with Claire Shipman on why the Middle East needs to protect its democratic allies in the Middle East, Israel. Together, we must enhance our strong military deterrent in the face of threats from Iran, Hezbollah, Hamas, and ISIL. And whatever three-word manufactured terror groups that we come to mind. Because if you look at the history of ISIS and Al-Qaeda, going back to when Hillary Clinton admitted it in 2010, all these terrorist groups were all derived from the United States. Look up Mujahideen and you'll figure it out. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. You'll figure it out. Marco Rubio and I, so this is a tweet underneath it, says, Marco Rubio and I introduced S-2497, the U.S. Israel Security Assistance Authorization Act. Again, very America first. Very, very much America first. Make America healthy again. The U.S. Israel Security Assistance Authorization Act, which will authorize $3.3 billion in security assistance for Israel, extend access to war reserve stockpiles, and extend loan guarantees to Israel. So, all these people are bots. All these people work for this heinous cults that they were preached from day one, that they have been brainwashed, that they've been manipulated to, that they've been blackmailed to serve. And that's why Columbia University did what they did to the students and still pretend to say that they're a diverse area, that they're welcoming, that they're accepting, that they understand the importance of free speech. And yet you saw what happened when free speech gets jeopardized, when the ideals of free speech get jeopardized, because Columbia University was between a rock and a hard place. Did they side with the students and actually exercise values of education, or did they side with the lobby firms and the federal government and everyone that pulls Columbia University by their threads? And as you can see here, they went the latter. And now you see Columbia University and so many other people are defiantly angry at the administration. And again, I would be too. I'd be too. But that's what you get from these Ivy League institutions. And it's amazing that this scenario, that the constant strain of free speech, that jeopardizing a student's ability to get educated after paying tuition, after going through the checks and balances and legal loopholes to get into this institution, being denied an education because of what they say, being pro-Palestinian, or being concerned about the Gaza genocide, it could jeopardize all that and make me defend these institutions.